Welcome, everyone, to the Energy Advisors Podcast. I'm your host, Rex, that energy guy. Glad to have you with us, no matter where you're listening or watching around the globe. Today, I've got some updates on industry statistics for heat pumps and electric water heaters. Interesting things going on there is more and more products and solutions are going to electricity for its power. And so I think you'll find some interesting statistics there. But before we go there, I want to thank our partners in the show, our good friends over at Smart Energy Centers. They are doing some amazing thing, bringing a retail footprint to energy. So these are centers that you'll be able to go to and look at everything from rooftop solar down to geothermal, micro wind turbines, smart breakers, thermal shields, lots of things that are going on there. And it's a place that you can get information from licensed professionals and no games. So smartenergycenters.com. Our friends over at Taxhive. Now, taxes play a big role in renewables. And, let's take a look at it. Taxes are your biggest bill. So don't DIY your taxes, especially when it comes to looking at the tax credits, rebates, and programs that are available for consumers when they make choices that are going green. There's a lot of details with this. Don't DIY it. Don't use over-the-counter software. It's important that you get some professional. Taxhive.com. Our friends over at Go Green Community Initiative doing some amazing things, helping consumers get free education about the transition to the renewable energy. So we're going through this big thing we call the energy transition, and people don't know where to start. So working with Go Green Community Initiative, you can get a free assessment, and it's specific to your property and to your behavior and your desires. It gives you a game plan. It's called the My Personal Energy Plan that will allow you to move forward without vendor biases and sales pressures. And it gives you the tools to shop for the solutions you may want to save money and also gain energy independence. So gogreencommunityinitiative.org. And a new partner in the show, it's called Energy Transition Tools. These folks are doing some amazing things. They're bringing brand new technologies to the marketplace. EnergyTransitionTools.com, you can find some groundbreaking and new technology that are not available in general distribution yet. So these are the guys leading the pack. So Energy Transition Tools. Okay, so enough of all that. We got all that out of the way. I want to talk to you today about what's happening with heat pumps and electric water heater in the marketplace. So these are statistics from the United States. These are publicly available from the folks over at the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute. So that's AHRI. And these specific statistics come from across the United States. So as we are working through the clean energy transition, they help look at all of these technologies. So we want to recognize them. So the statistics that we're putting out in the information today is coming from a tracking period of 2 years. So this comes from July of 2022 through the end of June of 2024. So what I like about this is it's a decent data sample size. Sometimes in the marketplace, when people are reporting information, they don't give us very big windows, but a 2-year window can help us identify some trends. Okay, from a high level, let's talk about this. Over that period of time, 2 years, there were 3.6 million heat pump space heaters sold. So that's basically a replacement for your furnace. So 3.6 million units sold. Now, let's look at the entire footprint of the United States. There are 137 million households. So while it's a big number at 3.6 million sold, it's still a small number, and we can look at the statistics there. So of the space heater sales in total, they're 55%. So combining furnaces and heat pumps, 55% of those installs were heat pumps. And it's really an interesting thing because people don't go out and purchase just on a willy-nilly. Most of the time, a furnace replacement, when they look at a furnace or a heat pump, it's when that system has failed. And so generally this is about a technology you're going to invest in every 15 to 25 years, depending on usage. And so it's great to see that heat pumps have jumped that much. So if it's 55%, you're really looking at a marketplace of about 7 million units that were installed in the last 2 years. Now, when you look at the AC marketplace, so heat pumps can actually do the air conditioning aspects too. And that's one of the advantages of a heat pump is they do both heating and cooling. 42% of the air conditioning systems sold, so that's a combination of heat pumps doing cooling and normal traditional AC units, 42% of those are now heat pumps. Then we skip over to the water heater marketplace. And it's exciting to see because the efficiencies are so great. In that same time period of the last 2 years, 54% of the water heaters sold were electric. Okay, so big numbers. You start to see this, and the adoption rates are going up, which is exciting because we now have situations where your entire home can be managed in an integrated, goodness gracious, I can't talk, an integrated strategy. So no longer are people relying on, oh, I got gas for this piece of device, I've got electric over here. You actually can get smart home energy management systems to manage all of that. And so it's breakthrough. You can have one app that controls all those things. So we're starting to see this trend go forward. Now, over the past 4 years, heat pumps have actually outsold gas furnaces consistently. Now, there was a drop in the marketplace in 2023 and half of 24 because of inflationary pressures. The unintended consequences of the Inflation Reduction Act actually increased inflation, and so it sort of was counterproductive. So interest rates went up and sales went down. However, now is the time to take a look at a heat pump because the tax incentives are so incredibly rich for you. So the Inflation Reduction Act and the home efficiency and appliance rebate programs can represent up to $10,000 in new incentives for heat pump installations. You need to check with your local state energy office, which just about every state has one of these, and also your utility providers. They may have their own rebates and incentive programs. So I know, like I'm here in Colorado, there are the federal ITC tax credits that are available to you. They have state tax credits that are available to you. And then also some of the bigger utility companies here are offering incentives and rebates. So I'm not saying they're giving them away, but now is the time to look at this because the government agencies and the utilities are trying to kind of coax and boost the sale of electrically driven technology. So if you compare over that time period, that last 2 years, heat pumps have outsold gas furnaces. So 3.6 million units compared to 2.9 million units. Now, what are the market factors in that? Well, heat pumps tend to be more expensive, so that is a feature. However, if you take in your tax credits, they can actually match or be lower. And then there's people who just want gas, and that's fine. So the big news there is that over the last 5 years, the heat pumps have consistently outsold gas furnaces. Now, let's not go crazy. I'm not against gas furnaces. You know, in energy, you have to take this perspective of use case. I always talk about this. I harp on this issue. Not one solution fits everyone. So when you're considering technologies, you really want to take a look at your use case and your cost per therm and conversion tables. There's a lot that goes into this decision. Now, for some people, hey, I want to do electric no matter what. And others are like, well, I want to do the financial analysis. And some people just haven't bought into these technologies. But it's important that I recommend that you take a comparison of both and look at your long term savings and cost of operation over the next lifetime of that device. So, meaning if you're planning on using either a gas furnace or a heat pump, you want to do the financial analysis over the next 15 to 20 years. Now, we can't have a crystal ball on 100% with the utility companies. But you can look back of historical rates because all of them offer that. You can normally get this from your state public utilities commission. So again, it's a financial decision. Sometimes people are looking at just one technology over the others, but I recommend that you look at your use case and the finances around that. Okay, so of the new systems sold, like I mentioned before, heat pumps are now at 55%. So over the last 2 years, actually 4 years, it's continued to grow and it's a bigger market share. Now that is the net new um, installations. That's not taking place in the entire market. So it's an interesting thing that's happening, and there's dynamics there. But I like to show people when you look at your home or your business, you want to be leaning to an environment where you have kind of one system to manage it all. And there are solutions out there in home energy management, intelligent home energy systems, but you can do all this from one app that they integrate to thousands of different devices. So I like preference of, hey, got one app and it's tracking everything, my electrical components. Now, I don't want to get into arguments of fossil fuels versus green technologies. That's not the point today. I just want to talk about the actual statistics. So market share, it's going up and it's gone up dramatically. So in 2004, heat pump sales were only 34%. And now in 2024, they're 55%. So that's about a 20% gain. And actually, it's a 21% gain in market share of net new units sold. So you can see the trend. The handle writing's on the wall for many people. Um, the availability of the technology is ubiquitous. You can find these everywhere. They have millions of units in stock from the manufacturers. All right. So heat pumps, we've talked about that. Now let's skip over to water heaters. When you look at water heaters, there's generally two types. One that are um, large tank storage, so the 40, 50 or larger tanks, and you're keeping that water hot 24 hours a day. Then there's also on demand. So on demand, whether it's heated with electricity or gas, that's literally you're heating it as you use it. So you're not spending the money to keep that 40 gallons, 50 gallons hot all the time. So the water heater market is generally less volatile to inflation rates, just because there's cost difference. And you're thinking of a couple $1,000 to install a water heater versus maybe 15 or $20,000 or more to install a heat pump. And so you have to take a look at that. And that's why the market is less volatile, because they're just not as expensive. People purchase those with cash, or they over a credit card with no interest, things of that nature. So what's happening in the marketplace is that electric water heaters, whether they're tank or on demand, are starting to grow very fast. And that the electric water heaters have actually jumped up to 4% of the marketplace. Now, again, most water heaters are purchased just like your furnace or heat pump on a replacement situation. You're not just going to go out and say, oh, I think next month I'm going to go get a new water heater or heat pump. But the projections of the growth looks at it by 2029 that electric water heating will be the preferred technology and method of heating, that it'll be over 50% by 2029. So if you look at the statistics in comparison, what's happening now over that same period, you're in the last 2 years, there were 5.1 million electric water heaters sold compared to 4.3 gas water heaters. So you're starting to see this take place. What are the factors? Well, there's been a lot of technology innovations. Cost per therm for the electric water heaters is less expensive. So what I kind of mentioned on this is that it's important as you are examining your own home energy plan. What are you planning to do in the marketplace? What you want to do is you want to be in a situation where you look at the financial analysis. Yes, some people are going to make these purchases based on, oh, I want to go green. Okay. And again, I'm not getting into debates about what the fuel source is. So that's something to set aside. Whenever I talk to people, individuals, when I counsel with them, I always talk about looking at the financial aspects of this, life expectancy of the appliances, and is it aligned with the biggest bang for your buck? So that's it today. Just a quick update, what's going on in the industry. I think it's good. You know, I'm a type of person, I'm not an extremist, okay? We're going to need all sources of energy. If you look at the demand of power, I'm going to throw it all in one bucket, we need everything. So we're going to need renewables. We're going to need fossil fuels. We're going to need nuclear. We're going to need hydroelectric. And then we're going to need some whatever new cool gizmos, but I think it's going to see hydrogen fuel cells is next on the horizon. So again, financial analysis, whatever helps you save the most amount of money, and then also what can put you on the path for energy independence. And then also, is it strategically aligned? Is it integrated? So I can actually get to a point where I've got one system that runs everything. So I hope these statistics were helpful. I'm always glad to be here to help provide information. If you ever want to have topics covered, I'm always looking for research items to do. That's what I do. It's really simple. The email address is rex@energyadvisorspodcast.com. So rex@energyadvisorspodcast.com. Little tongue tied today. Again, we'll wrap up this episode. We always want to thank our sponsors. Without them, the program doesn't happen. And then also, too, we want you to remind you, if you're on the podcast platforms, to follow. And if you are on the video platforms, which is mostly YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and also sign up for the notifications. So until next time, I have a lot of updates coming, some fantastic guests. I will say what I always say. Thanks and make it a great day.